G'day. Today we're talking to Dion Coetzee from Fortis Proactive Defence Solutions about how not to become another crime statistic in South Africa. Dion, tell us a little bit about yourself and Proactive Defence Solutions.
Thank you, Stefan. Yes, I'm the owner and whatever of Fortis Proactive since 1996. When we started with farm safety, farm security, and we've been active in the industry since then. We started off just helping farmers, and eventually we moved on to training, and eventually we moved on to selling kit, and eventually we got asked by various suppliers to test their kit for them. We still run a core group of operators that actively work out on farms at night, helping farmers. And these guys obviously run with military spec kit and so forth. So we still test a lot of kit and so forth. So at the end of the day, if I can sum it up in a one sentence, we most probably safety and security consultants on all levels, training, advice, etc., etc., etc. So yeah. Since 1996, and we're still in the game. At this stage, obviously the eyes aren't so good anymore, but we are still here.
Well, Dion, safety and crime trends in South Africa, it's all going downhill, isn't it?
Yes, it is all going downhill, and I'm not very keen on quoting stats. There are so many stats available, and stats in any case can be manipulated to fit, everybody's narrative at the end of the day. So depending what you want to push, you can just push those stats and fit it to your narrative. So for me, it's in what I experience as a safety consultant in a day-to-day basis. So crime is increasing, and it's not just farm murders. It is all crime. CIT heists, for instance, are becoming the stuff that movies are made of. I'll just give a little stat there. In 2019, there were in total 61 CIT heists. For those that don't know, those are cash in transit heists. And in this year, only in the first 2 months of this year, there were already 35, right? So in the first 4 months of this year, we've already exceeded the whole of last year just in CIT heists. And that's crime syndicates growing and growing and getting more and more involved in everything. Just as crime syndicates are now getting involved in farm attacks. Just yesterday, there was a report from Free State Farm Safety, Agricultural, about that. Now, why is that? It's simply because they can get weapons and money easily from farmers to do the bigger jobs like the CIT heists and the ATM robberies, okay? So the issue that people are doing is now isolating crime instead of looking at the complete picture. What do I mean by that? So if you only zoom in on farm murders, then you tend to think that it's only that bad on farms. But the moment you start looking at CIT heist as well, then you realize that it's looking even worse there. And then once you start looking at the next, violent house robberies, then you'll see it's even worse there. And so on and so forth. So the moment you start putting all the pieces of this puzzle together, from rape to whatever, then suddenly you realize that crime in South Africa is a very, very dark picture. South Africa has become a crime cesspit, and criminals are ruling supreme. Okay. And yes, so if we do want to combat farm crimes, we need to focus on that. And if we do want to combat CIT heists, then we need to focus on that. But once we realize that the syndicates are being involved in all this crime, no matter where, then we need to shift our focus, right? Because so that we can prepare correctly. So all in all, that's what it means is that serious crime is escalating. And add on to that the unemployment rate, and then obviously your petty crime is also escalating, which eventually will lead to serious crime. So although people want to follow a narrative of an orchestrated, targeted event against one specific group, I personally like to focus on the complete picture and remain objective towards crime because that's the only way that I think that we can properly plan and prevent against the whole wave. The fact that the government is not getting involved in any kind of anti-crime push is obviously the next concern. The direct result of the government not giving any care or any damn about its own citizens, that leads to a crumbling justice system and ineffective police force, and then obviously the inevitable surge in crime. Now, the criminal knows that his chances of being prosecuted successfully in South Africa is very low. Our jails are already overflowing. Our justice system is lacking, non-existent. Our government only cares about race blaming and reviving dead SOEs. Our police force is ineffective. So, how can crime not escalate? It's actually easy to understand. Now, that means that we are actually creating in South Africa the perfect habitat for criminals to thrive in. And you don't need stats to support this. It is what it is. You just see what's happening around you.
Well, Deon, for me, this basically says we're on our own. I remember in our town, February, before the COVID lockdown, we had serious delivery protest in our town, which basically had our schools, our shops, businesses shut down for almost 3 weeks before the police arrived, before the riot squads arrived. We were on our own, locked in our own houses for about 3 weeks before the police arrived. I recall my gardener the other day, just a week ago, they started a CPF in their neighborhood because they were being ravaged by crime, specifically murders. And the police attended the formation of the CPF, and they were told not to expect any support from them because they don't have the vehicles or the manpower to do anything. So we're basically on our own, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. People tend to blame the police, and we still have a large group of policemen and women that are actually doing their jobs and actually want to help. But if they don't have any support in the form of financial support or structural support, or command support, then those people can do zero. I personally know of policemen who are supposed to be on the sharp end of the stick, and they basically sit at their unit every day and drive because there's no money to send them out to patrol and so forth. And I mean, that's obviously the issue, that now people still shout, yeah, when are they going to help us? They are not going to help us. They are not going to help us.
What are the reasons for that? Why aren't they helping? Why is nobody coming to help us?
Well, I think the reasons, I stated it already, but I mean, if the government does not get involved in a pushback against crime, then we have the issue, So if you've got a government that doesn't care about that, then that's the conundrum. And I'm actually going to say it here. I don't think I was supposed to, but I want to say it here. This is the best example of divide and conquer that I've seen in my life. All right. Keep the focus elsewhere, and then we can continue to fly out corrupt profits out of the country, and we can continue, to revive dead SOEs, and we can continue to loot and steal money. So the more the people fight amongst each other, which we are now doing, because, everybody says it's blacks killing whites and it's whites killing, it's just this racial thing all the time. Mm-hmm. And our focus is so on the ground fighting each other that the government is actually just continuing their looting. And why? Why are they doing that? Because they don't give a damn about any citizen in this country, no matter what your age, no matter your sex, no matter your religion, no matter your skin color, they don't give a damn. So the other thing is, that's where it starts. If a government gets involved and says, okay, let's push back against crime, then we can all do something. But if they don't,
that's one of the basic functions of a government, is to protect its citizens, and they've given up on that.
That's the biggest issue. The next thing is people are shouting for the international community, and I'm not optimistic about that either. If you look at 2018, a whole drive was started by a South African living in Australia, and big respect to the guy. People marched against this whole mess in South Africa. Politicians got involved and everything. In 2019, that whole event dwindled down to a few numbers. In 2020, that event died a silent death. And the senator that was in favor of helping us actually got voted out of parliament there. And that's the thing. So the international community doesn't, we are not on the top 10 list for solutions, just as we are not on the top 10 list for our own government. I mean, we're sitting with a president that's been acting as or serving as deputy president since 2014. So if he hasn't done a thing in 6 years, I don't know what people think he'll do in the next 2 years. Okay. He's not going to do a thing. He's not committed to that. Neither is his government. Nobody of them are committed to that. They've got one thing on their minds, and it's not helping us. Right. So that's the lowdown. Our help will not come from the government. Our help will not come from the international community. We are not on the agenda as a Save South Africa. It's up to you and me. That's what it boils down to.
So what is the solution? We're on our own. What can we do to protect ourselves and prevent ourselves from becoming another crime statistic?
Well, we've got two choices. Okay, the first choice is maybe not easy, but the first choice is get on a plane, leave the country, immigrate, go if you can. All right, now that's not an option open to everybody for various reasons. And I will obviously firstly advise anybody who can to do that, because you can always come back, but you can't always leave. So get out and go. Take your kids elsewhere, start a new life, bite the bullet. It's tough, it's difficult. As hard as immigration is, it's currently still a better option to have your children and your grandchildren have a future. So I'm just saying that no human being deserves this, but not everybody can leave and not everybody wants to leave. And
I'm sure everybody knows a brother, a cousin, or a friend or family who's already left. There's plenty around leaving the country.
Exactly, and there's plenty more going to be leaving the country as soon as the other countries start opening up again. So if you cannot or you will not leave, then you must accept that you and only you are responsible for your own safety. The security company is reactive. Now that means the threat is already over. They've already attacked you. So they've already shot you. They've already stabbed you. They've already raped you. They've already done what the threat is over. I pushed my button, and now the security company is reacting. The ambulance is reactive. Right, the threat is over. The police is also actually just a reactive force. And that's the other thing. People expect the police to be a proactive force. Never in the history of mankind was the police a proactive force. The only proactive role they play is visible policing. But you don't prevent crime just by visible policing. You prevent crime by having a judicial system that works. So if they do catch a criminal, he must actually get prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And that's the price he pays, and punished. But that doesn't happen. So the blame is not to be on the police.
No, it's only. Complete impunity for the law. Disregard for the law. There's just no fear for any retribution, but any kind of punishment. No consequences.
No consequences to your actions. So I mean, I can come and shoot you, and I'll be out of jail quicker than if I failed to pay my taxes. That's just the reality. That's the skewed reality of what we live in. Yes. So, and although I've got a couple of policemen and women friends who still do an excellent job, you cannot do your job if you cannot do your job.
Well, they fall under that umbrella of the individuals, pockets of highlights within an umbrella of corruption and inefficiency.
Exactly. So all in all, you are just a government employee putting on a blue uniform and getting your paycheck hopefully at the end of the month. But you're not being the policeman or woman. So that once again brings it down to you and me. So you and me, we are our first responders. And we need to accept that responsibility, Once you accept and understand the responsibility, it actually is a very empowering and uplifting thing to realize that you and you alone are responsible for this, and that you now become a victim instead of a victim. So what's happening is that in this country currently, and it's getting worse by the day, actually, we are so full of blame shifting. It's Jan van Riebeeck's fault, it's apartheid's fault, it's the white man's fault, it's the government's fault, it's your fault, it's my fault, it's everybody's fault. We just blame shift the whole time. And exactly with crime, Why must I do something about it? Yes, and you are correct. But it's the government's sole responsibility, right, to do something about it. So if you're at this stage are too stupid to vote something else, then it's your own downfall. You are the master of your own destiny. Because if you keep on voting ANC, then this is what you're going to get. So we can't blame shift in this regard. It's up to us to educate and empower the people around us. So the responsibility comes back down to you and me. So in a nutshell, we need to start shooting criminals in the face. Boom. The moment I shoot you in the face, you die on the scene, and that's the end of it.
Well, here's the thing. The government isn't, like you say, isn't doing anything. It's like people waiting for the government to create jobs. If you're going to wait for the government to create a job for you, you're going to wait forever. If you're going to sit and wait for the government to protect you, you're going to wait forever. It's not going to happen. Yes. And I remember when we founded Fortis many years ago, our main thrust was, if you are prepared, right, and you realize for a start that your protection is up to you. The safety of yourself and your family and your community is up to you and not to some outside entity. And you take responsibility for it, and you start preparing for it, and you get ready for it, then a weight is lifted off your shoulders. You're not waiting for something else from outside to come and do something for you, and you don't have to stress about it. If you're prepared, the more you are prepared for any eventuality, the better prepared you are for any eventuality, the more and better you sleep at night, because you stress less. Because things, whatever happens, you'll be able to handle it.
Exactly that, yeah.
So, Deon, how can we prevent crime?
I'm not sure if we can really prevent crime as such, but we can be prepared for crime. There are certain things you can do to keep criminals further away from you. One of the things that gets my goat nowadays is if I open up the news in the morning and I see another person has been killed and he had no firearm on him. No firearm, no training, no awareness, no nothing. That loses about 90% of my sympathy. It's 2020. If you want to go and swim with the great white sharks, then you need to stay in the cage and you need to wear the chainmail and you need to do what the safety diver tells you. Right? You can't just mess around and do your own thing. It's exactly this. If you want to stay inside South Africa, you need to get yourself do the following. First of all, you need to accept the responsibility of your safety and your family. Right. The second one, you need to become prepared, gain knowledge, and I'll expand on this now. The third one is to stop assuming. Right. The next one is to become kitted or equipped, get yourself equipment. And then the last one is to train and train and train and train some more. Right. Those are the rules. If I go and swim with the great white shark, those are the rules. And either I stick to that or the shark kills me. It's easy. That's what's going to happen. It's going to bite me. All right. That's what I expect once I go into the water. Now, why would I expect something different if I get, if I live in South Africa? Why suddenly it wouldn't happen? It will happen. It's going to happen. Because the whole milieu has been set that it will happen. It's a cesspit that's just there for criminals. So, first of all,
can I just add there, because if you're living in South Africa and you get through your whole life without any serious crime incident happening to you, you're extremely lucky. Most, if not all of us, will be exposed to it to some degree sometime in our life. It's not like we're living in the Netherlands where there's one person murdered every once a year type of thing.
Yeah.
In South Africa, crime is a reality and it's going to affect you sometime or the other.
Well, the only stat that you need to look at here is that we have 22,000 murders per year. I mean, that's 55, 60 murders a day. That's per day. It's per day. I mean, at least we are first in the world for something, I mean, we even joke about that. So yeah, once you accept that you are your own responder, that if you accept that responsibility, now the responsibility rests on you to do something about you and your family's safety. And once that realization meets you, you will be moving on to the next step. So that's the first thing. Know that. It's if it's to be, it's up to me. In this case, there's nobody else is going to come and save you. You save yourself, right? Because even if I'm part of a farm watch or a neighborhood watch or a CPF or whatever, the response time for those people are still 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is.
And a lot can happen in 30 seconds.
You know, most fights are over in that time.
Yeah.
People get killed quickly, right? So once you understand that, then you need to start gaining knowledge and stop assuming. Start reading up and start doing your own correct research from reputable sources. A lot of people still think that you're not allowed to defend yourself against attackers, which is absolute crap, nonsense. Read up on the Criminal Procedures Act. I'm not going to quote it here. It's everybody's own responsibility. So research that. Read up on your right to own and bear arms, firearms, and use those firearms because you are allowed to. Once again, I'm not going to quote it here. Your responsibility, read up on it. All right. And don't go my friend says or he says or she says. That's bullshit. Find out for yourself. It's all there on the internet. Find out and just get that knowledge. All right. Such a lot of bullshit flying around on social media today that it's very scary. It freezes people. People are too scared to move because brainless idiots share stuff without checking facts, just sharing unfound stories about farm attacks and crime and so forth. It's not helping. Just sharing stuff is not creating awareness. Contrary to popular belief, you are not creating awareness. You are creating fear. That's what you're doing. You are fear mongering. You are just fucking keyboard warrior. That's what you are. Get off your lazy ass, get it out of that chair and start gaining knowledge, getting empowered and start getting training. So that's the second step.
Well, you've said it there once again. Our biggest combat for fear is being prepared. All right. If you're fully informed and fully prepared, fear goes away. That fear, exactly. Constant fear and pressure of living in South Africa, when you're prepared and well-informed, that fear goes away. Prepared, well-informed, and aware. All right, I would say those three things. Yeah, then the fear goes away, and it's a huge weight lifted off your shoulders.
Exactly. So stop assuming with, he shot somebody, now they're going to arrest him. The law is very clear on that. The moment you shoot somebody, there will be a docket opened against you. That's just how it is. It's normal standard procedure. So don't stop creating fear with sowing dissent all the time. No, they're coming for us, and nobody's coming for you. The criminals are coming for you. So while you are focused on all this bullshit, you don't prepare, and you just become more and more scared and more ineffective. So the next step, once we've accepted responsibility and once we've started gaining knowledge and we've stopped assuming, is obviously to become equipped. Get the firearm. Buy a firearm every month for like it. Get all the firearms, Get all the friends that have firearms. Get all the ammunition. Get the knives. Get alarm systems. Get radars. Get night vision. Get bulletproofs and all the other kit that you need. Talk to expert people regarding kit. Be careful for salesmen. I walked into a shop one day, a well-known gun shop in Victoria, and there was this night vision lying there. And I asked them, "Can I buy that? What is that?" And they wanted to sell it to me as a Generation 5 night vision piece of equipment. Now that's bullshit. Gen 5 is not available to the public, and that's the kind of shit that they sell to the public because the guy behind the counter is a salesman with zip knowledge about that. And I'm not trying to knock everybody here, but this is about life or death. So the kit that you have to have, it has to save your life. It's not something that you bought for the bling of it, If you buy a bulletproof system, then buy something that's fucking practical and works, not just this thing because they sold it. Okay. So we test our kit ourselves. We use the kit on farms under extreme conditions. So we actually, we understand kit. So I'm not saying you need to find out from us, please. There's a lot of reputable sources out there. But just make sure that the person who tells you, get another opinion. But stop waiting for your non-existing government or the international community to save you, all right? Because they will not. So get that kit, get equipped, Now, because we know what kit costs, we have started the Fortis Club. Okay, so you buy a membership card. Oh, it's actually upside down. You can buy a membership card from us and get discount for various pieces of equipment that you buy from certain vendors. And you also obviously get discount for training from specific trainers, but you also get our online home defense course for free when you join. So, I mean, that's a viable option if you're out there. Get yourself a Fortis membership and start getting that kit, because that's important, right?
Mm.
And then the last one is training. I mean, training. I can't emphasize training more than I can. This part is so important, and then people tend to leave it out. You get a lot of people out there with red dot sights on their guns and the best holsters and the best equipment, but they never train effectively, or they train very, very little. You know, I would rather not have any of that bling on my gun, but actually be able to use it effectively than the other way around. So if you leave out any of these 5 steps, and I think we'll put the steps somewhere in the description, you know, if we leave out any of these 5 steps, then your plan is not complete. That's what it boils down to. And it means nothing that you were in the army back in 1988 or 1970.
That one gets me all the time. People are not psychologically think that because they were in the army and did basic training and some JLs way back 30 years ago, you know, they are trained.
And they are ready for the fucking war, you know, bring, I want to just die.
I still got my Browns, my old Browns in my cupboard there. So, yeah, this one gets me all the time. You know, imagine if Carl Lewis or some famous, you know, sportsman only trained once while he was in high school, you know, for 6 months, and now he's fine. You know, he can win the Olympics. Doesn't work like that. And we're not here to win the Olympics here. We're fighting for our lives.
This is about life and death. This is what it's about. I mean, look at me. I was also in the army, right? About 4 or 5 months ago, I realized I'm not hitting the target when I shoot. And the issue is, these are reading glasses. I'm still fine to see you there. And I was shooting without my glasses, you know, and I couldn't see squat, right? And then one day, just by chance, I had my glasses on, and when I put the gun out in front, I saw the sights, and it was this new whole world opening up. I was like, wow, look at these sights. Did I put new sights on my gun? All right. But now the issue is, once I've got the glasses on, I can see the sights, but I can't see the target there, all right? And if I take the glasses off, then I can't see the sights, but I can see the target there. So I either have to shoot like this, you know, with one eye with the glasses and the other eye not, or I have to adapt. I have to train for the new, you know,
reality.
The reality in my life. I'm not the guy who's 18 anymore and who could spot, you know, a pimple on an eagle's arse 20 kilometers away. I actually have to now work with my new reality, and that's why training is important. In my case, 99% of what I know didn't come about as being in the army. It came from being actively hunting criminals on farms for the past 24 years. That's where I got schooled in crime and how to combat it and what criminals do and don't do. It has nothing to do with the army, 99% of that, right? So by being in the arena, by doing, you learn. By training, you learn. And if you're not in the arena, you're not doing anything. And if you're not doing anything, you're not learning. You're not developing. So you need to be fit. You need to actually be fighting fit. Right? Some fitness is better than zero fitness. You know, I get guys who come in and say, well, I was in the army. And then my first question is, can you do 5 push-ups? And then the guy looks at me, you know, and he suddenly realizes, shit, I can't do 5 push-ups. You know, if you can't do that, then you're fooling yourself. All right. So that's the thing.
Yeah, one thing people need to realize, if you were to become involved in a struggle, in a physical struggle for life and death, it's going to take every physical part of your being to combat an attack on yourself or on your family. All right, you're going to need all the power, and that fight could last anything from 10 seconds to 10 minutes. We had a case here in our in our town where a guy was tortured for hours and before he was killed. So you need to be able to physically, withstand at least an attack of some sort. So fitness is paramount.
Yeah, and we're talking functional fitness here. Can you get down on your knee and shoot the target and hit it, and then get up and run 5 steps and stop and hit the target again, and then dive behind the couch and hit it again, and then stand up and hit it again. That's functional fitness. I mean, if you can't bend down to tie your shoes, then you've got a problem. So the fitter, the better, obviously. That's what it boils down to. The fitter, the better, So keep pushing. You need to be able to shoot, as I say. Not the hyper bullshit that's going around about in abseiling and rolling and all these tactical. The fundamentals, shot placement. If I pull that gun out under pressure, do I have the fundamentals in place to do the shot placement without thinking, in tenth of a second? That's what needs to. That's the fundamentals. Can you place your shot effectively, and can you then place those shots effectively under stress and duress?
Well, it's like the Springboks. If you can do the basics right, you win the game. If you try and all these fancy moves and shooting sideways, forget about all of that. Just stick to the very basics, but do the basics very well. Do it very well and practice it all the time.
Can you swing that ball, get it out to the guys who can open up and so on? It's the basics, as you say. That's exactly why we developed that lone operator course of ours. The lone operator course is just developed to actually do all these things, to actually help people with the whole shebang on this, so that you become much better in all these areas at the end of the day. You can learn to survive inside South Africa in 2020. Right, so and best of all, a little bit marketing. If you are a club member, you obviously get discount on training from selected instructors in the institutions. So there's no more excuses at the end of the day. If we accept the responsibility, become properly prepared and equipped, then our chances of survival suddenly increases dramatically. And that is what's empowering. And that is what you need to look for. Become a survivor, become a victor, and stop being a victim.
Excellent. Well, you need training, preparedness, kit and equipment to protect yourself and to stop you from becoming a victim, and you can get that at a discount by joining Fortis Club. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
All right, excellent. Well, we hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative, and I hope it helps you in your journey towards protecting yourself and your community, your family and your community. If everyone takes responsibility for his family, it automatically becomes the community, and it automatically becomes a wider thing for the whole of your society. But if you want to live in South Africa, the short of it is be prepared, be aware, and get yourself, in a position to protect yourself.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry Dion.
Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.